Hey, it's Felix here, and I know the feeling. Despite a lot of people making lots of money with AI, you see all of these big companies, cutting the workforce, making more profits than ever, and just saying, "Oh, AI is so great." You hear the hype, you hear all these people just making massive results, and you're wondering, like, "Hey, like, how am I missing out on this? Like, what are they doing? How are they getting this much value out of AI? There's something missing, Like, how can I get some of the juice as well?" And I have an AI agency where I've helped now over 20 companies get a significant return on investment on AI. We're talking 100x, 1000x return on investment. So you put in $10,000, you get out $1 million. How can we do this? Like, how can we actually start implementing AI to get these significant results? And I will share with you now, like, the top 5 areas that are the most money-making areas in AI. So these are the money zones, if you want to call it. So these are the areas to focus on if you want AI to be profitable for you. And I highly recommend you do so. Because last week I had one of my clients say that, "Hey, Felix, like, we've been working on this pilot now with you. It's been great. It's been fantastic. Here, like, I want to do something bigger here. So let's get you on a retainer, and let's automate as much of our business as possible." And this is usually our working model. So I said, "Sounds great. Let's do it." And he gave me a list of 18 different automations that he has been thinking of. So this is, first of all, great, because most business owners, they are blind to what AI can accomplish for them. So just the fact that you are thinking of automating things with AI, like, you are ahead of 90% of people, all right? Because this, like, you need to be aware of AI and that AI can solve problems before you obviously can solve them and get some economic value out of it. But he gave me a list of 18 different things, and I said, all right, sounds great, but we have limited resources here. Like, we need to prioritize which are the automations that will make us the most money. And I told him these are the 5 areas that we should focus on to actually make money, to actually get a result that we want. And the result any business want is making more money. That is the only thing we care about, like return on investment. And I said, these are the top 5 areas we should focus on. And I want to go through them with you today, just so we have it out there, just so this is a video that I can share with my clients saying, "Hey, this is what we focus on. We don't care about the cookie cutter, the shiny object syndrome, the cool stuff that are dropping every single day and week. We only care about what are the things that are going to make us money." And the first one is lead generation, because we want to be as close as possible to revenue. Like, the closer we're to revenue, the easier it is to track, right? And lead generation is obviously the one thing that all businesses need. Like, this is usually the biggest problem of most businesses. They are demand constrained. They don't have enough leads, enough customers coming in. And on the lead generation side, I mean, there's a lot of things we could do, all right? But the best thing for many service-based businesses, especially if you're doing it online, is to do cold email. Cold email is still very effective, but when you couple it in with AI, it just, like, 100x's the results that you can get. And what I mean by this is that we want to set up an agent, and this is something that we have now built. But if you want to build something similar, like, you want to set up an agent where you give your ICP, your ideal customer profile, to the agent. So you say, these are the type of customers we want to reach out to. These are the most profitable customers that we have. The agent then scrapes 10, 15, 20 different data sources, depending on what sort of industry you're in and what sort of sources we can get our hands on. But it scrapes different sources. It finds the decision makers and the signals based on why it's a good fit for us. Because obviously, we don't want to get a bunch of shit leads, take the calls, and then nothing happens. We want to get companies that we can actually provide value to, because that's the name of the game in business. Like, you want to find companies and customers to actually bring significant value to. So the beautiful thing about using AI for this is that we can just spin up 10 different agents, scrape all data sources, we can get the decision makers, we can enrich with their details, and we can get the signal on why they're a good fit. And when we have these, so we have the signals, we have the decision makers, we have their contacts, we can then put the AI to create a personalized email. So it would be, hey Felix, I saw that you're growing Wicflow very quickly and that you're hiring new people. I was just wondering, usually what I've noticed is that when you hire new people, there's a lot of like operational drag and management and stuff. I've actually built this system that helps you manage all of your projects and that will help you scale as you grow the company. Would it be interesting talking for 20 minutes? Something like this where it's fully customized to the prospect situation. This is just beautiful because this really increases your positive reply rate on email. And a lot of people doing cold email, they're getting terrible results. They're getting like 2-3% response rated, but 2 or 3%, response rates. But when you implement this system and you actually make personalized emails that sounds like it's a human talking to another human, you will in some instances, you can easily get like 10-15% reply rate. So this is just beautiful. And this is definitely something that if you have a business where cold email works, this is 100% something to try out. But another example is for example, ads. So before, AI, and many businesses, 95% are still doing this. If you're running your business on ads, you're spending on Google or Meta, you might focus a lot of time on creating one good ad. This is the same thing for social media, by the way. So you spend a lot of time creating one ad and then you hope for the best, right? But with AI, it's totally different because with AI, you can split test a lot of different ads. So instead of creating one ad and focusing all your time on one ad, you can create 20 different ads, right? You can split test which one performs the best. You can cut the losers, only focus on what's working, and then scale that up. So it's absolutely beautiful how many different split tests and A/B tests you can do with AI, because it's very fast to sort of spin up different versions of it, especially if you have a good knowledge base on your company. You have some sort of like company brain or like a lot of context to give the AI so you can do all of these things. So that's obviously on the lead generation side. And then the second area to focus on is closing more deals, because obviously we want to get leads in, but then we want to close the deals. And here there's a lot of things you can do, but here I like to think about like how can we sort of make the process faster so that we have a higher likelihood of closing the deals, because usually speed wins. So the faster you can respond to the prospect, the prospect opts in your marketing funnel, the faster we can respond to them. We can send them a message, an email, we can call them, the bigger the likelihood it is that we will actually close the deals. I think it was something that if you respond to a lead within 5 minutes, your chances of closing that deal goes up by 400% or something. So this is on the sort of lead response time. That's one thing we can do. Another thing is, for example, automating proposals. So we can create an agent that automates all of our proposals in a very customized way. This feels very good for the client. It feels like, okay, this was tailored to me. And you can also do it a lot quicker, which obviously increases speed. And speed is king in business. Like, you need to move fast, especially in the age of AI. You want to implement these things today and start reaping the benefits and getting the return on investment like today. You don't want to wait any longer. The clock is ticking. The third area to focus on is customer retention, because obviously it's much easier to retain customers than it is to find new ones. So if you can find ways to reduce churn or even to upsell customers, that is absolutely fantastic. And one pretty easy way, if you have a lot of data, is to sort of feed all of the data into AI and make the AI find patterns. So when do people usually churn? What are usually the reasons? Can we take a look at customer satisfaction? What are the things that customers sort of maybe complain about the product? What are the things that they're not happy with? And then we can improve our own product or services based on that. Or we can make sure that, for example, every single week, because a big reason for churn, especially in service-based businesses, is that the client doesn't feel that they're taken care of or that nothing is happening. So, for example, like making either like a daily or weekly update. Hey client, this is what we've been working on this week. Just wanted to leave you a message. These are the results. And then showing the client your results, showing that you're working hard, that you're thinking of them. This is absolutely fantastic in making the client feel like heard and that they're taken care of. Then the fourth area to focus on, once we have sort of gotten more money in, it's back office profit. And what I mean here is that there are usually a lot of like manual work in a business, especially as you grow, that we can automate. So with AI, there's many things like in the back office, like manual data entry. It's also proposals, for example, that could be like automated, or something like emails, for example. So responding to customer emails, or to, you have invoicing, you have bookkeeping, all of these different things. It really depends. It's so wide. It really depends on your business. But if you have any manual work, this is something that can 100% be automated, or most of the time it can be automated. My rule for this, if you want to sort of think like this is sort of Felix law number one, it would be that if a process can be quantified and the logic can be put on paper, it can be automated by AI. And what I mean by this is that if you sort of can quantify the process, you can sort of tell AI, these are the metrics we're looking at, these are the steps, do it, and it's a digital process. Then it can do it. So all of these sort of things are things that you can automate. For example, I had one of like a very big food company in Finland where they were like doing manual data entry. Like they had some old system that they had to use because that was just what they need to use for sort of sending out their orders, and they were sort of like clicking in the dates. They were looking at an Excel sheet, clicking in the dates, clicking a couple of buttons to sort of confirm the order. Totally unnecessary work for humans to do. And this was taking them like 2 hours per day. This was a process, within a couple of hours, I was able to sort of create a personalized software that automated the whole like data entry process. The AI just looked from the Excel, filled it in, and boom. We just saved them 2 hours every single day, which is like 10 hours per week. It might not sound much. It might not sound like a lot. But if you think 10 hours per week, that's time saved that you can now put on some much better work, so much like higher economically valuable work. So like over time, if you can spend 10 hours doing something much better, for example, talking with your customers or increasing revenue, like over time, when that compounds over years, that's massive. That's a lot. And you find 2 hours there, you find 5 hours there, you may automate some big process, it saves you 10 hours per week. It's incredible what AI can do. And you start compounding all these things like, oof, like there's so much like GDP that we can grow by just automating with AI. And then the last area to focus on is creating sort of new revenue streams. And here AI is fantastic because how fast is it now to sort of come up with a new idea, come up with a landing page with AI, and then just start selling it? I have one pretty big firm here in Finland that sort of they sell inspections, and they sell, they help. What is the right term in English? I'm not sure. They sell inspections, and then they sort of, it's a car workshop essentially. So they service cars as well. And one of the things that they've been thinking of now for years is to sell car parts, but they have had no idea how to do it, because they haven't used AI or had any technical skills, and just hiring someone like might cost them like 20,000-30,000, and they might not be sure if they can get a return on it. So now, like what I've now done is that now within a week, I have been able to sort of build out their whole whole business that runs on the side of their normal business. So I've been able to now build a website with a chatbot, with all the integrations, with all the payments, and it connects to sort of the wholesaler, and now they essentially have a sort of, I'm not sure, drop shipping business as well on the side that sort of feeds into their main business, and their main business feeds into it. So it's absolutely beautiful, and just within a week. And this is something where the goals are now to scale this up to make a couple of million per year within 2 years. So it's incredible, like a couple of million per year by just, and essentially like this could be, like eventually this could be a big chunk of their business, just this sort of side business, or something that started as a side business. So new revenue streams. Really think about, are there any products we can do with AI to feed our main business or to do on the side? So that's absolutely beautiful, I think. Like so many things that we can do with AI. But as you notice, these 5 areas, they're not maybe the most flashy things. They're quite basic, quite boring. But if you focus just on revenue active, what is the word? Revenue sort of increasing activities, like you will be successful with AI. But always think like, what is the return on investment that we're getting? Skip the shiny object syndrome and getting all the cool stuff. Like, what is the boring stuff that will actually move the needle and make us money? Hopefully this was valuable for you. If you want my help, there's a link in the description. You can take a look at what I do and how I help companies. If nothing else, if no questions, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a very wonderful day. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.